Hello, guys, and a very happy new year. It's the 1st of January, and I wish you guys a very happy new year. And today, my video is going to be about my A levels, where I'm going to go over my A levels, like how it went and how it was. And this is the sketchbook which I used in my first year of A level, which was in 2018. So this is the first book out of 4 books. So let's begin. So the theme was surfaces. We did, and like on the first day we did about tomatoes. One was a full tomato and the other one was a cut tomato. And notice how I wrote a lot of things here. This was just me repeating myself. I just wrote whatever came onto my mind. Some of the things were not even relevant to the tomato. I just wrote random things. Just literally wrote random things. Like here you can see a lot of words and they're quite meaningless because I just wrote some random things that literally have no meaning. Just to make the page look fuller and more better. And the funny thing is, most of the people can't even read what I wrote. So I just wrote some random things and you can't even read it. It's kind of crap. So that was the first thing we did. And then we did like apples, and this was like one of my favorite works and like my first ones as well, because I really like how I actually used the color here. I remember like it took me like a really long time to complete this work. Like this apple took me like 2 hours in the art room. It just took forever. And I noticed how I thought the apple just had one color here, like for example here, but if you look closely it actually had like a lot of colors. There were literally orange, green, blue. I don't know how a blue is in an apple. There was blue, literally a lot of colors, and I had to figure it out, literally just paint on this apple and try to make it as realistic as possible. And I can say I did really well and I really enjoyed it. And again, I wrote a lot here, and most of the words just repeating myself again and again. Like in A levels I didn't even write a lot. I did write a lot, but they were just meaningless words, literally just repeated words to make my pages look fuller. That's all I did. But yeah, that's how my life in A level actually was. Amazing. And yeah, we just did about like a fish, where I had to paint a fish using watercolors. Like here we cut them out as well. Like here, this was the whole fish here, and I cut down three ones, like here, 1 2 3, just cut them out, and then painted this one here, painted that one there, and that here. It's quite fun. Yeah, it's quite fun. This is like more for the work of a fish which I did. This was a close-up of a fish that you made using colored pencils. This one was made just using like a normal pencil, like a just normal art pencil. This one was watercolors. Both were watercolors. And notice how I did like my color mixing here instead of a palette. I just did it here. I think if I did it here, on the paper, it makes the work look stand out and makes it more cooler, which I really admire. And I think most of you guys should show your work on the paper, like a color mixing on your work rather than on your palette. But keep it low though on the paper. Don't put like too much color mixing here, because most of the attention will mostly go on the color mixing rather than your actual work yourself. So yeah, that was my fish drawings and works. More fish drawings using fine liners this time. And here we did like a lemon, where I used I think it was a oil pastels, and I believe I should not have used these oil pastels because these were oil pastels from my house, and here you can see they're quite terrible. Like, it's quite terrible. I should have stuck with the school's oil pastel because I believe they were much better than these ones. These ones were kind of crap. Like, it just does not look good. It just looks terrible. That's the thing. That's the photo of a lemon, and that how it turned out. It did not turn out to be good. The shape is right, but the color mixing is awful. It just didn't go well, did it? It's just the colors didn't even stick. Like, the black did not stick at all. Shouldn't have done it. But we learned to use the college artworks, college oil pastels rather than my own. Big mistake. Here we did more fish, but this one was using like collages, like sticking these things here. Yeah, this is what we did. And this is the artist research that I did. Wrote a lot of things, artist. And yeah, there's a painting of an apple again. No, this one was like really rushed one. I think it took me like 10 minutes to do. It was like a really just a quick rush. But you know, like, even though it's rushed, I still like it. It still looks realistic. It still stands out. And I put strings on it. I don't know why I put strings on an apple to make it look like a frame. I mean, so it's a really interesting idea that I did, but I don't know why I did it though. It looks meaningless, but it is a good idea to do, but it doesn't have a meaning. Just did it anyways. This one is cool. This one is like a really nice artwork that I enjoyed. So far, this one was my best painting of like A-levels or like forever. But it's like until this point, this one was the best. That's what I'm basically trying to say. This one was my best one so far. And then we did a collage of like a bottle here. This bottle was like a really old bottle, like I think it was like 100 years old, where I had to like just like put collages, like draw it first and then put collages over the top, like using like some strings, and it went quite well. It looks quite decent. It looks really creative because this is the first work that actually taught a lot as well. Or what strings am I going to use, or what ropes, what the materials I'm going to use, and what I'm going to do for the shadow. For the shadow, I basically use like graphite. Yeah. For like, I think these are the words of the bottle, where I put paper on top and then just graphite over it, and then just start scratching over it, to make this amazing work that I actually admire a lot. And I wrote a lot. I probably presume that I'm just repeating myself again and again. Yeah, and then more apples. This is like the skin of a fish that I did. This was a tomato using acrylic paints, and one was ink. This is quite nice. I enjoyed a lot. Same with this. Both of them are quite cool. And this one was something that I don't know. I think like I just picked a random photo from the internet and then just painted it using acrylic paint and like watercolor. I think it's not a good idea, because like if you're gonna make something, stick with one thing only. If it's acrylic paint, stick with acrylic paints. If it's watercolor, stick with watercolors. I think it looks much better if you don't mix two mediums together. Like do not mix acrylic and watercolors together in a painting. Just stick with one thing. It will look much better. Best ones ever. Because my art teacher thought I was a total weirdo probably. Because look, here a funeral is taking place, where this is a coffin is gonna get like put into the mud. Don't know, because I think I changed my idea to death. Like changed the idea to death, where I wanted to like focus on death now on. I don't know why. I don't know why I did that. Like, so I made this model where the coffin is getting put inside the mud, and there are stones around, and there are people mourning around it. I don't know, like, and I think my teacher thought I was a total weirdo. Like, why would a person do that? And the funny thing is, most of the people there would do their artworks was about love, beginning of life, all that peaceful or good stuff, like the family stuff. But I made my work about this, which made it quite interesting, very creepy as well. But yeah, this was like one of my most weirdest works I ever done in A levels. Yeah, and then this is like the acrylic painting of a tomato, quite cool, like that. And then we had to like make a story of a potato, and this is like a potato where the potato is the boat, and the guy is riding the boat, like riding the potato. He's riding it. Look how relaxed he looks, just riding it. Some really like interesting ideas I'm thinking of. And this is like potatoes getting like, I think they're growing in a farm. This is quite cool. I think the potatoes are quite cool, but I think I had to work on the stones a bit more because they look quite rushed. The potato is fine, it's just the stones that needed more work, to make it look more stand out, like more alive. And this were more potato stuff, more potatoes, but these were collages. And then this one was where I think like an apple, like there was like an apple here, and then I had to like things like my hands are protecting the apple from, I don't know from what, I think it's from this little person. The little person gonna eat that apple, and these hands are just protecting it from not getting eaten. And I think this is where, like, from doing these works here, I got the idea of like focusing on Adam and Eve's story, because the main thing that happened in Adam and Eve's story is like they're getting kicked out for the original sin, for eating the apple. So from this year I started to focus on religion. This was like one of my first works that encouraged me or inspired me to like focus on religious works. And this one was actually a copied idea from another person from my class. She was also doing hands. That inspired me to do hands as well, and this encouraged me to like make paintings about religion. Oh, for fuck's sake. And this is a screen printing. This is screen printing of the same work here, the same work. And it's quite cool. Enjoyed that. And this is a photograph as well. Me protecting the apple. Yeah, these like more variations of me protecting the apple. The apple's here, just one hand, and then the guy is gonna eat the apple, and me just smashing him, beating him up or something. And then these were 3 apples and stop. And this is me stopping the man. This is that one, the old one. And here we had to like get some different techniques like one was a Van Gogh and one was like separating colors. These were quite normal ones. I think this one was like the less watery. This is like the watery one. This is quite dense. This is me separating the colors out, and this is the technique where I used the Van Gogh method. I don't know why, but I made this apple purple, even though an apple is red, but I made it purple, and I don't know why I made it purple. I think I got the colors wrong. I was supposed to like make the apple red, but by mistakenly I made it purple. I made a mistake. I thought I was making the apple red, but I made it purple. I don't know how I made that mistake, but because I think it's like during the process of making this apple, yeah, I thought the apple was red, and then I looked at, and then I finished. I realized, oh, the apple is purple, and I had to just leave it that way because I couldn't be bothered to make the apple red. I just couldn't be bothered. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna leave it this way. I'm gonna move on, and I did move on. And yeah, this is the me protecting the apple. But this one was on a canvas, and these were the artists that I did. I think this was Andy Morris, the artist I did. These are the artists I did. And this is like we did more artist research here. This is like the painting that I did of the artist's works, where it was about the rotting apples, like at the start how the apples were like so alive, or the fruits how they were so alive, but afterwards they lost their shape. They just lost their shape as they got rotten as they got older. Yeah. And just more artist works, more artists. And this is the one that literally made me fall in love with religious artworks, which is when I focused on Michelangelo, where the first time I focused on Michelangelo's artworks. This forced me to focus on Michelangelo's artworks, and I literally love Michelangelo's artworks as they have so many hidden meanings involved. There's like the creation of Adam, painting, where here is like small hand where God is touching this like a little child's hand, and to signify that this small baby is Jesus. So God is basically telling us that, look, this is my son, and this guy, or this human being will literally like save humanity from sin. And it had Mary next to it as well, where God is basically like, I don't know, he's trying to put his hand around her when he was reaching Jesus, to tell humanity that, look, this female is God's wife. That's what the painting actually means. I think I read about it as well, that these two were the only people in the brain. You show that they're the main people in this painting. And I also did a skull because my theme, remember, was about death. Change to death. It's about death now. And this was the painting I made of like God touching Adam's hand, where God is touching Adam's hand. Yeah. And it's a lot of writings that I did. This one was the most weirdest artwork I ever done. This was greatly inspired by Michelangelo, but I made it really, really dark, where inside is Adam and Eve eating the apple, and there are snakes around it. The thing is basically signifies their actions made humans die, and that is the reason why there is a skull who's going to eat this human being, which was me. But I represent the human race, and this skull is eating the human race because of Adam and Eve's sin. Notice how I wrote a lot again. I probably don't know why I'm writing, but just with random things again and again. Planning, more writing, and this one was the final piece. Final, like, starting, where it's like a practice run. And my art teacher just gave me like a random canvas, like a used canvas, and I had to paint over it. And I really enjoyed it, but at the same time I did enjoy it, but my art teacher just said, I think you need some work in this painting. And I agree, the work did need work, because look here, I made the skull really realistic, the apples realistic, but the rest of it were not even close to being realistic. Like the tree, I just randomly made up a tree in my head and I just painted it. It's not a realistic tree, and just painted it, and then instead of drawing the leaves on it, I put little dots around the tree, and then a snake going around it. It's an interesting idea, but the problem is that I did the skull realistic, but the other things were not even realistic. But yeah, that was just a practice, and then I did it again. It's like a planning of a skull here that I did. And this one was where I made like the Adam and Eve story in a clay. Put it in a clay, like there's a brain, and then there's a tree coming out of the brain. Like there's a tree coming out of the brain, and an Adam and Eve scene is taking place there. But there's a snake around the tree, just going round and round, and the story is taking place beneath the tree. And it's really like an interesting idea that I did. I really enjoyed it. Like a really good idea, because it's really creative for me. It's just like a really creative idea, and I was really surprised how real it turned out to look, because I wasn't expecting it to look like really good, but it did turn out really nice. Especially the brain looks incredible. It's the first time I ever like done like a clay properly. I actually think it was a good project when I did the Adam and Eve story in a clay form. It's really a good idea. And I did some Lego work, which I did. Some tree planning, because I had to make sure the tree looks real as possible. So I basically went outside of my house and took pictures of random trees and then painted them on here. And yeah, I did the final piece again, and my teacher absolutely hated it, and I totally agree, because it was just an awful final piece. Because first of all, the human beings are not even real. They just don't look that good. They don't look very realistic. And I put some human beings inside the skull's head, and they didn't even look real. So I had to do it again. I had to paint the whole thing again using a very like a sunset color. I kept the tree, but I got rid of the skull and made a new skull, like here. And I really enjoyed this one. Was much better because these looks much more realistic. Everything is so right about this artwork, that the hands are correct, the apples are correct, the tree is correct, and the skull is correct. I actually got rid of the human beings as well, the two human beings, because I just did not see the point of them being there. I just got their hands and put their hands there rather than putting their body there, because the bodies were quite awful. And I agreed with my teacher. She said it did not work, so I made a new one. And this is the end of my amazing art journey of A-level. I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation of me going over my beautiful artwork. I hope you guys to see you guys soon. Peace.